Okay, so today we are going to go into Studio Helper to try to figure out how to get the numbers that you need for your quarterly reports. So these are due after 3 months. So the calendar will work January through March, and then the quarterly report will be due by April 15th, and then April, May, and June, and then the quarterly report is due the next 15th, so July 15th, and onward like that. At this point, we are dealing with Q4 of 2016, and this quarterly report will be due on January 15th, 2017 to the parents, which means that you need to get these to Pernilla to review and send out no later than January 10th. All right, so first thing is log into your teacher account of Studio Helper. You can see at the upper right hand corner here, this is my teacher account and it'll say teacher there. You have certain rights and privileges with this that will allow you to go in and look at your calendar, for instance. If you haven't done this before, it's really helpful. And you can see calendar here. I'm not teaching this week, so it's clear, but then here's my typical calendar, for instance, for next week. You can see some of these have a line through them, like Jack Lyon on Monday and then the Sundarams on Thursday. That means that those lessons are canceled, and it also means that those parents aren't going to receive an email reminder. So if you are not in the habit of keeping this up to date, please do so, because this is what the parents can see. All right, so if we go to the calendar and hover over it and then scroll down to attendance, that's step one. So I make a habit of whenever a lesson is canceled, I do go ahead and mark it as canceled, but what I am not in the habit of doing of myself is going through and marking when people actually show up. So I do it sort of in a big batch when I need to. So these are the ones that aren't marked. So if they canceled, I marked them already, they're not going to show up in this list. If I didn't cancel them, then that means that they were there. So I'm going to set them all as attended. So you come here, you set it as absent or canceled or something first, but don't save it, and then come back and set it as attended, and it'll show up there. And then you save that, it'll come up with another page, and again, you'll see that the attendance over here is clear right now, so we'll set it as being wrong first, then right, so now attended, and we can save that. And keep going through until you're all caught up. If you are not in the habit like me of marking them as canceled whenever they don't show up or absent when there is no lesson, you will have to go back to your attendance books or however you keep record and make sure that it's all up to date and accurate when you get to this point. Okay, now we are all up to date. So now we can go to the next part, which is reports. So click on reports. And then from here, there are a lot of cool things you can see. You can see what students are registered under you. You can see your own roster. If you're interested in keeping tabs of birthdays, this is the place where you can do that. As you know, Pernilla will purchase birthday cards and put them in your slots during the month of one of your students' birthdays, but maybe you want to plan something on your own. This is a spot where all of that is kept in place. The one that we are coming to today, though, is the lessons taught. So we're going to click on that. And this is a quarterly report, so we want to be very specific on the dates here. So the start date for Q4 was October 1st, and the end date is December 31st. Okay, so this gives me event categories. I'm wanting to do myself, all titles, and all of my students. Okay, now I'm going to show all of the attendance, wonderful, and I want to export it to Excel so that it's easier for me to manage. You don't have to. For instance, if I don't do this and I just click run the report, it will run it and it will show it to me here in the browser. So if you don't have Excel, this is a good way to do it. The thing is for me is you can order things over here. For instance, if I click title, or maybe you can't. I thought that it would order it for you because that is something that I love to do in Excel, but that may not be the case. So one thing that you can do though is if you'd like to get a better situation and just see maybe the student that you're working on at the time, you can run just the one student and then it brings up all of their attendance here. So for instance, I can see that there are 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 lessons that they attended, 15 hours that I was in the house. So that means that they got their guaranteed 10 lessons for this quarter and it would be good to go. So one by one here, if you would like to do that. For me, I am going to export it to Excel, which will allow me a little bit more control as far as how I want to see the data. Okay, and here it all is. So for instance, I don't need to see that I'm the one who taught the lesson, so I'm just going to get rid of that. But this is all going to be sort of how you want to see things and how you want to order things. Hopefully you're comfortable with working with spreadsheets and you can look at all of your totals this way and align it how you'd like. Now the next thing that we need to do is check out what the quarterly reports actually look like. Most of you have done this before, but if you haven't, let's just take a look. Okay, so I'm just going to bring up Divya here. This is the PDF form, but this is what they look like. So we want the Music as Language logo at the top, the name of the student, the quarter that it's representing, how many lessons were received this quarter, how many lessons were received year to date, how many we guarantee. So we guarantee 40 a year, that's 10 per quarter. So at this point, all of ours should say 40 here for Q4. And then from the year to what we guarantee, how are they doing as far as lesson counts go. If they're into grading, you can create a little bit of a grade here with what they've done, and then we can look at the work that they've done over the last quarter, so just a couple of sentences on that, and then what's anticipated for the next quarter. This does not have to be a book. I anticipate that you'll spend about 5 to 10 minutes per student. Please do not spend more than that. There's no point. Just do your best to sort of get a general recap with what the plan is and what you want to do. All right, so that takes us through quarterly reports. I am going to send a link to this video as well as in that same email a template of a document that you can use to start your first quarterly report. I do suggest from there just copying and pasting into new documents and changing data around. It makes it a lot easier than reformatting page by page. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to let Pernilla or I know. Again, as a reminder, this is due every 3 months at the end of each quarter, and it is due by the 10th. We will do our best to remind you, but please also do your best to stay on top of it as well. All right, wonderful. Have a wonderful new year ahead.